again and welcome back. My name's Annie and this is my creative detour. Today I'm jumping into my journal that I made for the Scraptember 2025, ran by Margaret from Seven Plaza and Toni from Crafty by Toni. Now I made this last week and I've got a video coming out this week showing you how I made it, but I'm wanting to do a few pages in it so it's got some things in it. So today I am going to set myself a challenge. I'm going to pull out 2 pages, one out of each signature, and I'm going to cover the pages with scraps. Now, on my desk, I'll tilt it down. I have a box. It stands like this. And it has all different scraps on it, and it sits up against the wall at the back of my desk. That when I'm working and I pull something out, then I tear something off it and I throw it back in. And I also have a little pot, and it's got lots of little bits of scrap in, too small for the other stand. So the challenge that I'm setting myself today is that I have to decorate 2 pages out of scrap in preparation for some postcards. So once I've covered the pages with scrap, I'm going to decorate some postcards. Now I have a nice little stash of postcards from my great aunt, and some of you would have heard me speaking about my great aunt before, and I have a lot of things from her. I have a nice little box, it's just here, of postcards. Now some of the postcards I've collected, but not many. Most of them are from my great aunt, and they're from correspondence that she had or that she inherited the postcards herself from other people. And quite a lot of them have got the stamps pulled off them, and they're very old. So here's some examples. So you can see here that this one, it has a poem on it, has some lovely writing on it, and it's postmarked, I think it's 1906. Let me see this one. Oh yes, this one is, there we go, the 6th of October 1906. And the thing that's so lovely about these postcards is some of them, the faces are damaged of them, but it's the stories. And as you know, if you've been watching me for a while, I love stories. So what the plan is today is that I am doing postcards as the prompt, but I need somewhere to put the postcards. So I'm going to quickly just, like I said, use some scrap, cover my pages. I'm not going to overthink it too much. I'm just going to stick down some coverings out of my box that's on my desk and cover the page, and then together we've got some postcards that I wouldn't say I'm going to restore them, but I'm going to decorate them, give them a facelift, let's say. I'm going to give them a facelift so that you can still read the story on the back and you get a bit of a sense of what the picture's about. So I've got 3 pulled out over on the side there that I'm going to revive and pretty up, and then I'll put them in my journal and I'll be able to read the backs of them, because some of the conversations are of family members of my great aunt. They might have been second cousins or aunties, or I'm not really sure. I think my auntie, if I asked her about it, she would know who some of the people are, but I'll read some of them to you when we're giving them a facelift. So what I'm going to do is I'll get started and show you what I'm doing, and then we'll go from there. Okay, I've pulled out 2 pages out of my journal, and they've both got pockets. Now this one's got a pocket that I'll glue shut, that is in this way, and this one has some pockets going this way. So I'm going to cover these pages. I think what I'll do is I'll cover them, and then we'll stick the pockets down, figure out where we want to put our postcards. So what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to pull out a whole heap of bits and pieces out of this tub. Let's bring it over and see what we can find. I have some typing paper, so some of you would have seen that the other day. There's some scrapbook paper, some map. Well, there's some of our packaging. I've got some newspaper and some dictionary, some envelope, some of Margaret's printout from Bob's Your Uncle, some lovely, we've got a frog. This is wonderful that we're using up this stuff because it just gets overgrown, doesn't it? It just keeps building and building and building, and we don't seem to be able to get rid of it. You can see I'm probably pulling most of the neutrals. Oh, there's a glassine bag. Didn't even know that that was in there. So that's a win for today, finding a glassine bag. Okay, so this pile of scrap, I'm going to pop it to the side. He's pretty cute, isn't he? I might just sit him there so he's front and centre. Let's stick down some big bits of paper. I'm liking this text here. I actually should go across the join because it'll make it stronger. Okay, so what I might do is I'm going to pop you to some music and speed you up a little bit. And I'll decorate this one, and you'll see me, I'll just pull some bits and stick it down. I'm not going to overthink it. I really am just going to use up scrap and see what surprises are in store with our page. And then I'll do the other one off camera, and then we'll come back and decorate our postcards together. All right, enjoy the music. Okay, you can see that I have covered it basically. I found this All and Create stamp that I stamped maybe 6 months ago. I was testing it on tissue paper. So I'm thinking I'd like to Mod Podge that onto there because that will look interesting. And I've pulled out some tissue paper from Tim Holtz, so some of his collage paper. So while I'm doing that, I might tear some of this off. Okay, I'm back, and here are my 2 pages, and as you can see, I just pulled out rubbish from out of my pile here and stuck it down, and there's leftover bits and pieces that you might recognize from other projects, but I'm going to now glue the pockets shut, and I'm just going to fold this in half because it's going to need a little bit of coaxing. So let's glue shut this pocket, And I'm going to use art glitter glue for this because I want it to really stick well. And you can see that I stuck on a little bit of washi as well. I had a few holes. Okay, so we'll stick that closed, those two pockets. Somewhere to put our postcards. This one here, I'll show you it. I used magazine down the bottom, some of leftover of Bob's Your Uncle. And then on the front of the journal cover, you can see here this green measuring tape off of a dress pattern. It's a dress pattern kind of paper, and I used some of it up here, and I used some of it here, and then there's some leftover collage soup, a little bit of washi, and then some pages out of an illustrated dictionary. This bit here is out of a newspaper. When I did those 70s style tags, that was the newspaper that was off of that. So a little bit of walk down memory lane, to be honest. Glue this shut. There we go, some leftover scrap and some packaging pages. Okay, so let's pull out our postcards, the reason you clicked on this video, and we'll try and recover them somehow. We'll try and get them to have a new life. So you can see here I have scraps, some out of my little pot and some out of my thing, and then I've pulled out a little, 4 little pieces of ephemera, otherwise it's scrap. And here's our postcard, and you can see that it is so old that the photo has deteriorated, and it's actually the James Fletcher Monument in Newcastle, New South Wales. Now, Newcastle is about 2 hours drive north of Sydney, and this postcard is to a lady called Minnie. Now, her last name was McNamara, and I've got a feeling that McNamara might have been some sort of relative of my great aunt's. Now, my auntie, who's 85 now, she would know whether my great aunt, who was born in 1916, whether this is one of her relatives or not. But nevertheless, the postcards, and you can see that the postcard is faded and it's also missing its stamp. And that's because my great aunt used to collect the stamps. And I think it is 1907, 13th of February 1907, I think. And it says, "Dear Min, we all want to know where you are and what you are doing. Send a PC or a postcard and let us know whether you are dead or alive. Love from all of the Phillips." Oh, that's funny. All right, now they obviously don't know where she is. They're sending it to a hotel in Albion Park, and they're hoping that she's there. They're not sure. Now this one says, "Dear Minnie," and it's sent from Balmain, and it says, "To Miss McNamara, care of Mrs. I think it's a G. Gorman, Albion Hotel, Albion Park." It says, "Dear Minnie, wishing you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year from Ducky." Now this one, they've sent it because her name is Minnie and it's got Minnie on the front. And the date on that one is December the 20th, 1905. So that one's trying to track Minnie down as well. Minnie must have been a little bit aloof. Now this one here. This one is to Mr. F. Webster. He's in Drummoyne in Sydney. Now this one says, "Dear Fred, I received your postcards and was glad to hear from you. Hope you and all is well and hope to see you and Min," there's the name Minnie again, "soon. Might be down for Christmas if all goes well. From Will McNamara. It's obviously, letters to and from the McNamaras and the Websters. And this saying greetings from Lismore. So maybe Minnie has made her way to Lismore. Who knows? But let's try and save them so that the story can continue on, because if I just covered these up, the little stories would be lost, especially that one, wanting to know whether Minnie's dead or alive. So my plan is to try and fix this hole. So let's do that first. I'm going to just glue a little bit of paper on, hang it off the end so I can cut that white piece off. Yes, I was having a little bit of a rummage through the tin of postcards. To be honest, every now and then I would recognize a few odd names and think, oh, I wonder if they're a distant relative. I'm not sure. But nevertheless, it's it's funny. And the handwriting is so interesting because it's obviously cursive writing, and we don't use a lot of that anymore, especially for me in doing architecture. I completely changed to doing printing. Don't want to cover up the top of that monument. I'm going to stick a little piece of this in, because our journal is all about the packaging, isn't it? Trying to use up and feature packaging where we can. Calling it my packaging journal. So and you can see that I'm leaving this where it says the James Fletcher Monument, and he's still standing out the top, just at the top. I've pulled out and just thrown a little bit of a cluster together. Now my aunt, who I talk about at length in one of my videos, I will link it below, and it was a video that I did for Catalysts and Curiosities, where I did a little bit of a memorial to my aunt, because she left me such a wonderful treasure trove of things. I actually will cut that off first. Yes, I did a video as a bit of a tribute to her. I talked about her at length, and she was a traveller. She loved travelling. I think she lived till she was 97. You can see that I'm just using some of the scraps, and I'm wanting to create a little bit of a cluster. I think I'm going to put that on because my great aunt, she loved to travel. She was constantly reading magazines from all over the world, and I have some of them. I have quite a lot of magazines from New Zealand and some from the UK, and she also loved Australiana. So I'm putting on here a piece of Australian native. So yes, if you're wanting to hear about my great auntie Laura and her life and her story, I will link the video below of her. She's a very interesting lady. She went through 2 wars, obviously one as a baby because she was only 2, but she was an amazing lady. She made the best strawberry jam, big, 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 big chunks of strawberry. None of this, like skimping. Lots of strawberries in it. And she made the best scones, and wherever we were going to visit, she would pull out a fresh bottle of strawberry jam out of her larder because she preserved everything. She had a big pantry where she preserved things. And she'd make a fresh batch of scones. You could smell them as soon as you were coming up on the veranda. This corner here is very flimsy, so I'm going to stick this on. Because she was a traveller, these have got a little bit of a Moroccan feel to them, but I'm going to stick this on the back. I want to give that corner some strength because I'm going to be pulling it in and out of a pocket. I want it to have a little bit of strength. I don't want to cover up the writing on the back. I want to be able to read the story, but other than that, I also want somebody down the track, when they're reading my journal in 20 years' time, when I'm in my late 70s, they read this, they'll be able to see that I've preserved some of the content of the beginning of the 1900s. So I'm just trying to give these old postcards a new life and get them to live for a little bit longer rather than just ending up in landfill and the memories being lost forever. Now, this does look Moroccan, but I'm going to cover it with an Australian stamp. It's got a Banksia on it. Auntie Laura, she used to love Australian native plants. If she was given flowers, she would dry them, especially Australian natives. There we go, Wanderlust. Now this here is out of a dictionary, and it's an Italian dictionary. And she went on a grand tour in the 70s and went overseas for many, many months, did a big trip and loved Italy. And that's why I put that on there. There we go, there's the front. Oh, I missed that back a little bit, didn't I? Not sure that I can fix that. We'll have to ink that. Didn't line that up very well, but a bit of distress ink and it won't matter. There's one postcard, and we've managed to save all the information on the back and the franking, and the front looks interesting. Let's move that one up there so you can see it. So there's one. Let's see if we can find Minnie. I wonder what happened to Minnie. So this is the amazing thing. You'd be constantly thinking, what's the story about Minnie? Where'd she go to? Why were they worried whether she was dead or alive? Here we have Minnie, a postcard, and this one's wishing her happy Christmas and a new year, and they're sending it to the Albion Hotel in Albion Park. I've torn this just so that it hugs this lady's head. So let's glue that on. See if we can still see her face. We want to be able to see Minnie's face. We don't want to lose the McNamara name. We want to preserve that. So let's tear a little bit of that off. Wonder where McNamara is from. Is it Scottish McNamara? I've got no idea. We've patched that corner. I have a little bit of paper here, scrap, and a little bit of packaging. Thought that I'd layer up a little bit of paper and packaging here. Let's do that. And I've got a flower and a stamp and some leaves. Minnie might have been a little bit of a rebel. We don't know. She obviously ended up with Fred, although Fred might have been her brother, because back in those days you used to travel a lot with your siblings, didn't you? We don't know. I know that for some of you this might not be very exciting, but for me, I am so happy that I'm doing this, and it's partly because I am so grateful to my aunt, my great aunt, that is no longer with us, that she had the foresight to save and collect so many wonderful things and saw value in them. Other people in the family don't necessarily see value in them, and that's okay. We all like different things, but I am so grateful that I have these wonderful treasures to pull on and to play with. And I have a little bit of just a sense of responsibility, a feeling of responsibility to do something worthwhile with them. When I'm doing something with them, to play, not just play with them, enjoy them, but to breathe some life into them, or to put some longevity into them. I know that junk journaling isn't everyone's vibe. I don't know what my grandchildren are going to be like. Like today, my granddaughter has been in my craft room with me. She's got a little table. I bought her a little craft table, and she spent hours at her table. No, she's no longer on the floor. I bought a little table and she sat at it, and she did painting and gluing, and she ripped up and cut up all of these little bits of paper, and so I don't know down the track whether my junk journals, that my granddaughter's going to get them and read them in 20 years' time and get just as much pleasure and joy out of them as what I do out of my great aunt's treasures. I do have this feeling of responsibility to, do something creative with them and enjoy them, but to extend their life a little bit. So there we go. There's the front of that postcard. And, like before, it had the corner ripped out of it, like this one. And somebody would have just thrown that in the bin. But hopefully now someone's going to read the story on the back. That was written on December the 20th in 1905. I think I'm going to stick this threads for you. Let's tear that off. That's interesting. I've got this text out of a book sitting in my pile. It says common threads for you, but I don't want the common, I just want the threads. Let's stick that on. That's interesting. Minnie, threads for you. Maybe we follow the thread of trying to find her. Maybe I'll find out what happened to Minnie when I read some more of the postcards down the track. Maybe when I'm doing another challenge in 2027 and I do, something to do with postcards, and I find out about Minnie, what happened. There we go. Now on the back, this corner's still a little bit weak, so I thought if I stuck a stamp on it, and I think this is the Queen Mother, but when she was actually queen, when Elizabeth and Margaret were children, that postage stamp. It is an Australian postage stamp, and it's 1.5, is it P? 1.5p? And I don't know whether it's worth some money or not, but it's going on there. Okay, we have a few leaves. Let's just ink those up. I hope this video is not too long. I've got no idea how long it is. I probably will edit quite a bit out of it. Now, my mother watches all of my videos without fail, and she will possibly know who Minnie McNamara is. If you do, Mum, know who Minnie McNamara is, leave a comment below, Mum, telling us all the story of Minnie, who she was, and why was everyone looking for her. And I have a nice little flower, little blossom we might be able to tuck down here. Let's do that. And we want to know who Fred was. Was Fred Minnie's brother? Or was Fred Minnie's husband? And who was Ducky? We don't know who Ducky is. These are all the questions that we are now wanting to know the answers to. There we go. Isn't that wonderful? I'm really, really happy with that postcard now has a new life, and the story lives on. We just don't we just don't know what the story is. All right, let's do the last one. Mum, please comment below. Tell us what the story is. All right, what have I got here? Lismore. Greetings from Lismore. Let's read this one again. Dear Fred, I received your postcards and was glad to hear from you. Hope you and all is well and hope to see you and Min soon and might be down Christmas if all goes well, from Will. Now let's I've just got some embossed cardstock from one of my full deck challenges, and I've got another piece here. It had a little bit of gold on it. You can see I'm definitely using up my scraps that I had hanging around, and I pulled out one of Tracy Fox's labels. I'm going to put this piece of packaging on first. We want to link our packaging. I have this thing, and I don't know whether it's left over from when I was a designer, that you carry something over, and you do it in design all the time. So if you're designing, you're going through designing a room or like an office or something, from one room to the next, you carry something through, and it's borrowing the information. And your brain likes the link of things being borrowed and carried over. It feels like there's some sort of connection. So I'm wanting to use some packaging on here so that it links back to the pages in the journal. So yes, we use that trick all the time, and you do it quite a lot in residential design too, where you carry over something from one room to the next, and it might be the color of the cushions, or it might be, you use the same color towels in your ensuite as you have got on the cushions on your bed, something like that. Okay, now I have this piece of white, and I just felt that it needed the pop. Oh, and I'm off screen. I'm very sorry about that. And I have these flowers. For those of you that are not in Australia, you wouldn't know where Lismore was. Lismore is about maybe 3 hours south of Brisbane, and it's in New South Wales, and it's a regional town. It's a country town, but it has a reasonable population to it, and it has a very big river, and it often floods. We have quite bad flooding there. All right, that's looking better. So let's cut that down. So Lismore would be approximately 7 hours north drive from Sydney, and probably 3.5 hours south of Brisbane. Brisbane's in a different state. And I have a label from Tracy Fox. Let's put that on. Bit of ink. There we go. That's looking better, isn't it? And we'll put something on the back. Scrap paper from Collage Soup. Oh, let's ink it. I think I used some of this in the Junk Journal July. This paper. That'll just fix that corner a little bit. All right, we're getting close. Who'd have thought that reviving some old postcards would be so intriguing, and that a little tiny piece of scrap would make such a big difference. All right, now I have this bird. Now you're going to think to me, why have you got a bird, Annie? Well, this is to Fred from Will. So the front is quite feminine. So I wanted to kind of, make the back and the message a little bit more masculine. So that's the reason we have a bird, not a flower or a butterfly. I just thought that the bird would be interesting. That's about it. There we go. Now, I'll clear the decks and I'll put my pages in my journal, and we'll put our restored postcards into our journal together. I'll see you in a moment. Okay, here we are. Here's the journal, and we'll open it up. You can see that I have one of my lovely tea bags in here, and there's our mushrooms. And we'll turn to the page. Oh, I've got one of my magnetic butterflies in here too that I made. So I've got some butterflies in here. And then this is one of our pages. So you can see that it looks nice in there. So that's that one. And then in the second signature, we'll flip over to the second signature. So there's our mushrooms that we did the other day. And here's our other page with the pocket. And there's the other side of it. So let's put decide on our postcard. So we have that page, and I really should have done 4, but I thought 4 might take too long. As it was, 3 took a little bit longer than we expected. Okay, I'm liking the idea of this one here going into our pocket here. So we'll pop that in there. I like the flowers sticking out and this popping out. And we'll go up to the other one and we'll pop in our Minnie in. We might put Minnie on this side because she's got threads for you. We'll put Minnie in there because it says threads for you, and this has got a sewing measurements on it. And this one we'll put in here. Greetings from Lismore. There we go. That was lots of fun. I enjoyed that. And we've given a new life to 3 old antique postcards, and they're now in my journal forever. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed the video and got some laughs and a little bit of entertainment out of the stories that we did today, giving our postcards a facelift. And if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. If you're interested in watching the video that I did about my great aunt, I did a spread about her in a project, or maybe back in April or May. And like I said, I'll link it below and you can watch that. Otherwise, check out the playlist below for the things relating to this journal. And also, I will have the video coming out this week, probably later in the week, of how to make our lay flat journal. Thanks everybody, and have a great week creating something, whatever, and thanks for watching. Bye for now.